Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and season's greetings. Happy holidays here from USA Global TV. And hello to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. We are so happy to have you here today. I am Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show is the MALLORCA Connection. And with me, as always, is my friend and co-host, Mr. Roland.friedl. He is a business mastery level coach and strategist and a serial entrepreneur. Let's bring him on. Welcome.
Hi, Dr. Jacalyn. Great to see you. How are you doing?
Nice to see you as well. I'm really excited for this show. Last week was a blast. You gave us so many wonderful tips with the crystal balls and the rubber balls. And before we take off on this show, I just want to have you remind people about that. But tell us a little bit about you and your background for people who are watching for the first time.
Yes, hello. I'm Roland, originally born in Austria, living on a beautiful island in Spain. And after university, I did different studies on the universities because I was very open and open-minded and interested in different studies. I was studying German philosophy, history was very important for me. I was studying business. I was studying sociology and George von Wallace in the US. I was studying Spain in Salamanca. So I was always eager to learn and educate and learn myself and train myself in personal training and different stuff. And after university, I had a fast career in business. So I guess I was the youngest member of board director of a big company. I left the company, started my own businesses in different areas. Some failed. I learned a lot. Some was very successful. And since almost 25 years, I train, coach, consult international big companies like Xerox, people next door, other big companies, but also startups, individual coachings. So I'm dedicated to support organizations and the leaders to not only be more successful, but to have more purpose and have a more fulfilled business or life. So I'm very dedicated and I'm mission driven that people who are working hard, do something purposeful, have fun, enjoy, and when they come home, and that's very important for me, to the beloved ones, they're not exhausted. They don't have to compensate with any addictions, alcohol, drugs, TV, eating or something. So they're really fulfilled, coming home fully energized and spending a good time with their family, with their kids, with the beloved ones, with friends, or whatever they want to do. That's my mission.
That's a fabulous mission. And I love how you were totally honest that you've done some things that were successful and other things that didn't work. What did you learn from those things, that the businesses that failed?
What I learned, first of all, I learned good or bad results is the summary of decisions you made in the past. You made good decisions or bad decisions. So I never blamed somebody else or somebody's circumstances. It was always my decisions and my responsibility. That's one important thing for me. And the second is I learned about my strengths, and I learned, okay, I focus on those things I really love and I'm really good. And then the things I'm not good, where my weak point is, maybe I learn them, or when it's too much investment and time and energy, I outsource it and ask somebody else who wants to make money and help me in doing this and this, so I can focus on the things I'm really love to do. I'm really passionate about it, and the other thing I just outsource to somebody else, another company, another person, a freelancer who helps me. That's what I learned.
They're really great key learnings, and I think our audience can benefit from that. And today we're going to talk about a topic that's so important, not just one day of the year, but ongoing, and it's goal setting, steps to setting effective goals. So Roland, I'm just going to start off by asking you, what do you think it is that prevents people from setting goals that are realistic and measurable, or setting goals at all?
What prevents them? Um, I mean, there were different reasons. What I learned in the past is because when you set goals, written ones, you are committed, and then you see, oh, I did it. So most people are not committed. They're without any obligations. They say, okay, when I reach it or when I get it, it's good. If not, it's good too. It's just excuses. They're not committed. They're not willing to pay the price and go for it. And then they complain under circumstances of other person. That's what I see. And to be honest, when I was in my young years, 16, 17, 18, I was the same. But when I was 21, I had a very good mentor who taught me about setting goals and how to do it. And that was a game changer for me in the early years.
I really agree with you. It's so important to set goals. I know for me, I have right next to me, I've got just a whole stack of those legal memo pads, the yellow ones with the lines, and I write everything down. And then I highlight it when I complete it. I put a check mark. And I find that when I don't use my notepads, I make mistakes and I forget things. And then I have to sometimes start all over, or maybe it's too late because I missed out on a deadline or something. So I like to write everything down as well.
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many tools outside, and now we're digital, it was imprinted from a digital from. To be honest, I don't use any one of that. It's just a plain paper and I write it down. I'm very old school, but because people are so distracted by tools and stuff like that, they focus on the design or something. No, it's not about that. It's about sitting down, think about what is really important for you, what is relevant for you, what is where you are driven, where you're mission driven, where you're willing to pay the price, and what you want to reach in life. Doesn't matter, it's health wise or business or relationship wise, doesn't matter. But just a plain paper and sit down. It's not complicated, but it's not easy.
Right. But it's so true. It's old school, but there's something about taking that pen or pencil, whatever it is, and actually writing it down. I think that makes some type of connection with your brain, and then you are committing yourself to do something, and there it is. You can show the whole world for everyone to see, or just for you to see as a reminder.
Yeah, and I always say, as long as it's just in your head, but that's what I was in earlier. I have it here. It's just a wish, but it gets a goal and committed when you write it down.
That's so true. How do you feel about that when you're making goal commitments for fitness? Do you write everything down, how many sets you're doing, or how long your walks are going to be? Or do you kind of differentiate that as relaxation versus...
Okay. Now we are mixing a little bit goals and strategy to reach the goal. So I write down, first of all, I write down the goals, and then of course I write down the strategy. But that's the second step. First, I write down my goals I want to achieve. And then the next step is the strategy. So how many sets, how am I going to train? That's the strategy. The goal is, I don't know, the fitness, or maybe losing weight, or run faster, or run longer, or lift heavier, or whatever it is. That's the goal setting. And the next step is the strategy, what I do to reach the goal.
Excellent. Thank you for clarifying that. So let's look at a goal that you are interested in setting, or you have set for 2022, and I can do the same.
Okay. If it's okay for you, I want to start a little bit about something theory, and so people understand why it's so important to set a goal. Just imagine you stand where you are, or the audience, you sit where you are. Okay, just imagine that. And let's say you have a 5-day week, okay, Monday to Friday. And on Monday, you walk 1 kilometer ahead. On Tuesday, you walk 1 kilometer to the left, or 1 mile to the left for the US guys, okay? 1 kilometer to the left. On Wednesday, you walk 1 mile back. And on Thursday, you walk 1 mile to the right. Where are you on Friday?
So you walk ahead, you walk to the left, you walk back, you walk to the right. Let's see if anybody wants to guess.
You're just back where you started.
You're back in the beginning. Yeah, I wouldn't see if anyone's going to.
So people walk there.
Any progress at all?
Yeah, people walk there, they walk there, but no goal, no direction. So they try this, and then at the end of the week they're there, and nothing happened, no progress, nothing. Yeah. So that's why it's so important to set goals, first of all. Secondly, we have to understand, and it's not about, when we speak about goals, it's generally, we always have to set goals. It's not about the big things, also about small things. But the goal you want to reach has to be really big, has to be really large. I don't mean a large car, a large private jet, or a lot of money. It can be. What I mean is it has to really be big, is it has to be relevant for you. It's not just, people have nice to have, I wanted this, or maybe it's this because a friend has it or celebrated. This nice to have doesn't work. This is my own experience. I had it in my past. I wanted this, No. It has to be absolutely relevant, no matter what it is. It's small things, big things, expensive one, no material, no matter. But it has to be big for you, relevant. This is so important because on your way to reach the goal, there are obstacles on the way. Always. There are always distractions. Always. You don't feel good about it, something happens, whatever it is, there are always obstacles. So when you're walking this direction, and this is the obstacle, yes, the goal on the other side has to be much bigger, so you still see your goal behind the obstacle. When your obstacle is larger than the goal, you give up. Okay, so the goal has to be really, really big, and repeat it. Doesn't mean a lot of money or big means it has to be relevant for you. You really want this, okay? Not a nice to have bit. That's the first thing. That's very, very important. So when we start about goal setting, and then there's a technique about it. I want to talk about it. So what I learned in my early years, when I was 20 young, I had a mentor 10 years ago. So we're still very, very good friends. We meet on a regular basis, and almost over 35 years now in friendship. I mean, I never had any struggle, but he always gave me an honest feedback. And he was very successful in business in the early years when I met him. And he was just my mentor. When I started my career, I had a lot of friends who say, no, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And he always said, go for it, go for it, go for it. So he was really encouraging me and doing that. So I listened to him. And he said, Roland, you have to set goals. And I said, yeah, I have it here. I said, okay, if you think so. We met the next year and said, how about reaching your goals? Not good. I said, maybe you try it. So I tried, and I will explain later what I did, how exactly I did it. So this is what I learned in my early years to set my goals. And actually, this is a good time frame now, end of the year, to set goals for next year. And most people do that. New Year's Eve next year, 1st of January, I eat less, I do more sports, I don't smoke, I don't drink, stuff like that. But it's just in the head, it's just a wish. But they don't go for it. It's not a goal. So I give you an example about a personal example of me, and I'm very open-minded person. So I tell you something. I raised up in a mid-class, in a lower mid-class family. So my parents, we don't have our own house. We just rented a small apartment, not a large one. My dad had a normal job. My mom was working as a hairdresser. So there was not much income, but it was okay. But lower class, so no vacations, nothing. So we never traveled somewhere. And I was in my, 5-6 years ago, old, something like that. We had a neighbor. So we have been in an apartment house, 4 floors. We're on the 3rd floor. We had a small apartment on the left, and in the middle was a single apartment. There was an older lady, and she had a grandson, same age like me. And she went with her Volkswagen VW Beetle, this old cars. So we are talking about the late 60s, late 60s, beginning 70s. So she drove with her grandson and invited me to come with them to Italy, to the seaside. Never forget that, in Cattolica by Rimini. And I saw the first time in my life, I saw open sea. I saw the sea, I was smelling in the sea. And I was absolutely flashed. And I remember I came home and I told my dad, I was at the sea and how it was. And I had the feeling of coming home. And I told my dad, one day when I'm grown up, I will live on the seaside. And my dad was always a very negative person. I'm a very surprised. I said, everyone else, but not you. And from this day, I was driven one day I will do everything so I can afford to live on the seaside. So I went to school, I finished school, went to university, I started in business as an employee. I had a very fast career. Then I resigned, I grew up my own business, and everything I did was under the goal, one day I live on the seaside. And for me, it was clear living on the seaside means a lot of stuff. Means maybe you live in a tourist place, so I don't want to work in the tourist industry. If I still be an employee, and it doesn't matter if I'm the top manager or not, in a company in my home country where I'm from, I cannot go there because at this time there was no internet, nothing, no remote work. So I have to do something else. If I found a normal business in my home country, I have to sell it or give it up and do something new. So I have to build up businesses that make me financially independent, and I can work from everywhere. So everything was under this goal. So I set this goal, and everything I did, I was working for that. But I had many distractions. You know, you're growing a little bit older, then you see this, then you forget the goal, then you see this, then I'm married, and I got 3 kids, then you focus on this, and I forgot my goal. I forgot this big goal. It was not so important for me anymore because other things came in, you know. And then you have these excuses. Yeah, I have to take care of my family. I have to do this. I have to do this, and I have to do this. And one day, when I was sitting down again, I will talk about a little bit later how I set my goals. I said, okay, I don't only set goals for my family. I don't only set goals for my business. I set goals for myself. And I was thinking about what was really important for me. And it came back living on the seaside, writing it down, working on that. And 4 years later, I moved to this beautiful island.
What a fabulous story. Thank you so much. A couple of questions come to mind. The first is, when you set that goal for yourself based on what you had heard from your dad, was that something that you knew that that's what you really wanted, or just because you were told that you can't have it or it's not for you?
Well, you know, I'm a fighter. I'm a fighter. And when somebody says, no, it's not working, you can't do it, then I will prove I can do it. That's my attitude or my character. So this challenge me, is somebody, no, not you, then I prove you, yes. That was always my stuff. No, really, I don't have much memory of my childhood because of bad things that happened to me. But I remember when I came to the sea, I really have the feeling of coming home. Really, it was such a deep experience. I never forget this. Never forget it. And I live on the seaside. I said, no, I will always live on the seaside. I love the sea. I love the smelling. And I remember when I moved to this island, I was not in Sfinker at first. I rented a huge luxury penthouse, and I wanted to see the open sea and the whole Bay of Palma. And I was sitting there really days and days, just looking at the open sea, and it just opened my heart and my soul. You know, when you live in a small apartment, you see walls, you see the neighbors, you see the street, but you don't see the horizon. And it was really just opening my heart and opening my soul and just breathing. I did nothing else than days for days, just sitting there and just breathe.
That does make a difference. I was thinking about that a lot during the pandemic, that some people were living in such a small, confined area without a view of anything. Maybe they're sharing that space with other family members or friends, and how difficult it is when you can't see the sea. So you set this goal, and along the way, all these things distracted you, things that were probably pretty important as well. And then you reached the goal, you've attained the goal. So what happens then?
Then I learned a really lesson. Then I learned a real lesson, and that's also super. And I reached this goal, and I came here, and I enjoyed my life because I worked a lot. So the first year was like a vacation here, working less, flying less out to clients. So it really was a virtual vacation, playing golf. And then I remember friends called me, and I was almost every day on the golf course. And sometimes I was really ashamed. Oh, I'm still on the golf course. I'm on the golf course. I'm sorry. I was really ashamed to enjoy and really enjoy after hard-working life. To really enjoy. I was really ashamed. And I was driving my convertible and seeing friends and drinking a cocktail there, drinking a drink there. And And after a while, I get back to business. I really was energized. I got back to business. Business was going up and up and up again. So it was really flying out. I came just home sometimes just for 24 hours. I really didn't spend a night in a hotel. I came back home just to breathe the air, enjoy, fly out again, really full energized. And after 2 years, my motivation went down. I was thinking about, hey, what's going on? And then I learned a lesson. And this is very important too. When you reach an important goal in your life, enjoy it, but set the next important goal for you. That's what my lesson learned. So I really was in a down circle. Also in my mood, I had this beautiful living, these cars and everything, and I was enjoying it, of course, but I was not really 100% happy and fulfilled. And then I found out, oh, you have to set another goal. And then it took some time. I found another goal that really was and still is relevant for me. And I set this goal. I worked on it. I reached this goal years ago. And so that's also a lesson that I want to give to the audience is when you reach an important goal, when you really achieve it, enjoy, celebrate, but set the next goal. That's very important too.
Thank you. That's fantastic. Roland, when you're setting these goals, what are the characteristics that we should think about? So in other words, should the goal be measurable? Should you have an accountability partner? What are some things you can share about that?
Absolutely. I mean, this is what I learned. It's just I just repeat what I learned. You can find it on the internet or how to set. They call it goal setting, SMART goals. Okay, it's SMART, SMART goals. It's not a rocket science. It's not my thing. It's just what I learned years ago, and my experience. It's working. Okay, so you can Google it. So if you don't get something because of my dialect or something, you can Google it, SMART goal, setting about SMART goal. So this is very important to set a SMART goal, meaning S stands for specific. So be as specific as possible. So the more specific you are, the clearer you are. And what we have to understand from our mind as a human being is we only move forward when we feel safe. We only are willing to get out of a comfort zone when we feel safe, when we feel secure. And we only feel secure when we have clarity. Yeah. So we need, the more specific you are, the more clarity you have, the better it is. And it's also clear what to do to achieve your goal. So specific and as clear as possible is the most important thing, is the start. So be very clear, very, very specific what you want to really reach. That's the first thing. So this S for specific, okay, not general. So be very, very, very specific. The second is it must be measurable in any way. So define exactly what evidence will prove that you're making progress and you can re-evaluate when necessary. So it has to be measurable, specific and measurable. I give you an example because I always bring this both together because it's very important, specific measure. I give an example. Sometimes clients say to me, I want to make more money. I say, what's your goal? And client comes to me and I say, I want to make more money. And when you know what I do? I take a 5-cent piece of 5 cents and give it them. I say, coaching finished, successful, pay me, you reach your goal. You achieve your goal. And they looked at me and said, what do you mean? Yeah, I said, you want more money? This is more money. So you have to be specific. If you want to make more money, how much? 10,000, 5,000, 6,000, I don't know. So be specific. I want more health. I want more money. This is not specific and measurable. Okay, this is very, very important. But why do people? I learned why do people so? Because there's no obligation. Yeah, people have fear to reach. Some people have fear to reach a goal, to achieve it, they think they're not worth it, and some people have fear of failure. That's when they're not specific. So be as specific as clear and measurable. Okay, this is very, very important.
I really like that story, the coaching story with the 5 cents.
Yeah, I mean, actually, in daily life, what do you want? Yeah, more of this, more of that. I mean, actually, it's just a positive start because most people tell you what they don't want. And that's even worse.
True.
Because when you say what you don't want, there's so many other options. It's even less specific. So first of all, we have to learn what we want. That's the first thing. And secondly, we have to be specific. Okay, that's my client says he wants this, and he's positive. Say, really good start, much better than another client, because most start what they don't want. So learn what you want. That's the first thing, because you always get what's in your mind, and if you say what you don't want, you will get it again. So focus on what you don't want. And actually, when I started in university, what I learned years ago with 8 years ago, when I did my second education, most people who tell you what they don't want get exactly what you want. The reason for it is, if you say, I don't want this, there are millions and billions of other alternatives and options. So what people always want to do is they want to serve you. And when somebody tells somebody else, A tells B, I don't want this, B has no idea what the person wants because there's so many options. So because this person doesn't want to fail, most people don't do things, not because they're lazy, because they have fear of failing. That's what I claim most leaders. Your staff is not lazy. You don't give them clear advice, clear expectations, so they don't move forwards because they have fear of fail. That's why they don't do it. Okay, so this B doesn't know what A wants. B doesn't know what it does not want. So what is person doing? They give him the same bullshit. Because there's more fear to choose something that's not correct. You give him the same old stuff. That's an interesting lesson I learned years ago in psychology. So
it sounds like if you set a goal that's vague and unclear, then the fear is going to go away because it's not something so specific. It's kind of like, well, I'm hoping to lose some weight at some point in my life. It's so vague that if it doesn't work out, it doesn't really matter.
But the thing is, it can happen by accident, but you have no control about it. It's not in your control. And we have to take control of our own life. That's what we talked about, I guess, in the last session. Taking control about our own life.
Yeah, so, I'll share with you a very specific goal that I had last year by working with a coach. I wanted to, and I've told this story before, but I wanted to retire from my corporate career. So I actually wrote down, I will resign on February 21st, 2020. And I ended up, I think it was February 20th, the day before, but I had it on the refrigerator, and every single day I would see it and I would come a day closer. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have to stay on track because it's there. I put it out to the world. I told my coach, and it happened.
Absolutely. I will come to this because you said that the time frame, that's the larger time frame, but this is also so important. Most people don't set a time frame because, sorry for this expression, but you really need polls to set a time frame, because now it's a commitment. Oh, and it's not tomorrow, or you cannot postpone it or shift it. Now, it's now. And the interesting thing is, when you set it, most people reach it before the time frame. Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so specific, measurable, SMART. A means attainable. So what does attainable mean? It means make sure you can reasonably accomplish your goal within a certain time frame. Okay, I give an example. You have 300 pounds and you want to lose by the end of next week 150 pounds. Absolutely not attainable. Okay, absolutely not attainable. So it has to be attainable. What means attainable? It can be a crazy large goal that your friends and family said, no, never ever, you'll never make it. But Google, now we Google, or search, and find somebody who made it possible for him or herself. Maybe there is a person who found a way to reach this goal in a short time and model this person. Okay, so attainable means it may be crazy, it may sound unable, but somebody did it in the past. When somebody else did it, you can do it too. Okay, this means attainable. Was this clear, Jacalyn?
Yes, definitely clear. Yeah.
Okay, so attainable, it has to be attainable, because I use the word attainable, not realistic, because people say realistic. Realistic is not objective. Realistic is so, I don't know. People are, you hear this. You have a vision. You want to raise your own business. You want to do this, and your friends say, "No, hey, be realistic." Okay, so no, it attainable. That's somebody else did it means you can do it too. I remember just a story. I don't have the clear dates, but I guess it was the 100-mile race or something. No, not 100-mile. The short distance. I don't know, not 100 miles. Or a short distance race, and years and years, it's also never went under a certain time. I don't know, 9 minutes or 9 seconds or something like that. And one person did it. So over years and years, they said it's not possible to go under this time. And then one person did it, and afterwards the record was broken every year. So one did it, and everyone else could do it too. So attainable means somebody did it. Even it sounds crazy, find somebody who did it and go for it. I give an example. When you're my age, I'm 57, I'm in my 50s, and you want to work out or lose weight or so, then don't go on YouTube and find a 25-year person who's doing losing weight or weight. No, find somebody who's the same age or even older. And I was 57, go for a 65 or 70. And when he or she can do it, you can do it too.
That's such a good point, because when we start to pattern ourselves after people who are a different age and much younger, it doesn't work out too well. And I'll give an example. So I've described before that I'm obsessed with something called solid core, and I go every day. And most of the people in there, I'm generalizing, but just from my perspective, are in their 20s or 30s. So if I were to look around and say, oh, look at her, she's a nice flat stomach, and look at this, and look at that, I could be totally disheartened. And I think, no, I'm a 58-year-old woman, and I'm going to focus on my goals, which have to do with strength that are very specific. And once I do that, there's no one else in there except for me and the coach.
Absolutely. So when what is also helpful before I finish the last two parts of the SMART is find a role model, a personal one, or something else, but always look at the circumstances. As the fitness example, when you're in your 40s, look for somebody who's in their 40s, or even in the 50s. It can be very motivating when you find someone in the 50s, 60s, like, hey, she do it. Oh, I can do it too. Okay, but find somebody in the same age or same circumstances. Okay. Or when when you're working for a corporate, you say, I'm resigning, I want to build up my own business, whatever it is, and you are in the 30s or in the 20s or in the 50s, look for somebody the same age. When you're in the 20s, you're independent, maybe you don't have any family or obligations, you can work differently. Like I tell my coaching clients, you can do everything you want because you have no obligation to bring home money for your kids, bring food on the table, whatever it is. You can go on full risk. When you're in the 30s and you just married and have small kids, you have to think differently. When you're in your 50s, kids left the house, you can go on full risk too, but maybe taking care about your health. So find a role model in the circumstances that fits to you. That's very, very important. That's very, very important. Okay, so come back to SMART. So we had the specific, be as specific and as clear as possible, because when you're clear about that, you know exactly what to do. Okay. Secondly, it must be measurable. How many kilos you want to weigh, how much money you want to make, whatever it is. So measurable, and everything is measurable. I give you another example. Measurable. If you have a better relationship with your kids or your wife and want to reconnect, measurable could be, oh, we have a better communication. We shout less. We argue less. We have a lovely dinner together. We have a good conversation. Everything is measurable. So be clear what's measurable. It doesn't always mean material stuff. You can measurable or set your benchmark where you say, okay, now I got it, and say, okay, this is my benchmark. I want to get it, this amount, or this car, or this income, or this quality of life or relationship, okay, or this weight, or this muscles, okay, measurable. Then we say attainable. And as I said, attainable, not realistic in a kind of sense. It can be unrealistic for your friends and your family, but it can be very realistic because somebody else achieved it. Okay, so attainable. That's the thing. The next part, the fourth is R for relevant. And that's what I said in the beginning. It has to be relevant for you. It has to align with your values, and with your long-term objectives. As I said before, it's not working when you have this, I want this, or maybe I have this, or maybe I want this, or maybe I don't want this. And I remember in example of when I was in my early 20s, 21, 22, setting goals. And I know, I said, I love the sea, I love traveling, I love learning about other cultures or other people. So when I don't go on vacation, I travel. So I don't go on a resort, and it doesn't matter where it is, it's in Bali, or with same food or same chain. No, I travel. I really travel. I want to learn culture. I want to learn the cookings there. I want to talk to people and stuff like that. So I'm a traveler. And in the beginning, I said, oh, sailing boat. I want to have a sailing boat. No, I said, I want a big RV, a large RV. So this or this and this. And finally, you have to make a decision, okay? Or no, maybe I buy a Harley Davidson, or maybe I do this. No, forget it. It has to be relevant for you. You really want it. As I said in the beginning, it's not just because my friends have it in my neighborhood, it's cool or celebrate it. No, it has to be really. Do you really want it? A friend of mine, sorry for the expression, a friend of mine made years ago an example, and they said, relevant means you're willing to pay the price, meaning you're willing to run naked through your local shopping center. You really go for it. Okay, are you really willing to pay the price? Okay, so this means it has to be relevant. Okay, very, very important. So
I just have a visual of the running naked through the parking lot.
Yeah, because afterwards, when we talk about a little bit reaching it, you have to pay the price. Okay, there's no free lunch, because otherwise it's a wish. I wish this for Christmas. I wish this for New Year. I don't know what for my birthday. No, we're setting about goals. Okay.
Yes.
We're setting about goals.
I think you're on mute.
Okay.
There you go.
So, sorry. So the last thing is T, it's time-paced. As you said with your own, you have to set a timeline. When do you reach this goal? Okay, on the 25th of February, 2024 or whatever. Set a timeline. You will never start, you will never complete, you never will really go for it if you don't set a timeline. It's also important. And those who set a timeline and afterwards not only set the goals, but also build up a strategy and go to action, of course. My experience is most of them reach it earlier. Same was to me. I moved to the island 1.5 years earlier than my timeline was set. Very important. That. So timeline is very, very important. So this is SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant for you, and set a time frame until when.
And Roland, a question that I have for you, because this was something that I consider when I worked with my coach about resigning from corporate, is setting up contingency plans so that when I attain my goal, if it's not specifically what I thought it was going to be, that I have some contingency plans in place. And that gave me a sense of real security in that, my example of starting a new business. And so what happens if this, and this? Well, what I never had in my contingency plan was a pandemic hitting, right? But it did fall under sort of natural disasters or God, things that you can't control. So I was able to immediately move to that action plan that was aligned with, the goal that I had achieved for the next step.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when the goal is set and when you're clear, before you go to action, you need a strategy. Yeah. And I just want to do shortly is what I learned is find 21 different ways, find 21 solutions for your first goal. Why 21? Because the first 5, 6, 7 things that come in your mind was always there, didn't help you. So take your time. Maybe you need a week, maybe you did a month. It doesn't mean thinking about 21. No, maybe you have a walk and you have an idea, or you have this, or you see this, or you have a conversation. And that's very important too. When I set my goals, I am very open. I'm very talk to everyone about my goals. First of all, I commit myself. I want to do this until this is a commitment. So I go official. That's what really drives me. So I go official. And the second one is maybe somebody has an idea or help or something. So I make a plan. I said, okay, idea. Because the first thing that always comes into mind was always there. It'll help you in the past. So go deeper. That's very important. So thinking about strategies, how to reach these goals. And then think about threats. What can happen? Distraction. What is when happened this? What is when happened this? What is when whatever happens? So think about distraction and think and find a strategy when there are distractions, when you want to give up, what keeps you going. Very important too. But I'm a strong believer of not having a plan B. Because when you have a plan B, you don't believe in plan A. Okay? That's what I learned. If you have a plan B, you don't believe in plan A. Doesn't mean that if you have a strategy for obstacles, for distractions, for threats, but you go for it, 100%. 100%. If it is a relevant goal you want to reach, 100%. That's the last thing that you have in mind when you go to sleep. It's the first thing when you wake up. You make it your number one thing on your daily basis because you go for it. It's very, very important. That's what I learned. Plan B means, no obligation. Okay, that's what I learned. Go for it 100%. Sorry.
That's okay. So I was going to weigh in on that as we're coming to the end of our show. But so I think in my experience, and I put this in my book, when it is important to have a plan B, for example, it's not specific to a goal, but if you are, and this is something that I refer to, let's say you're planning a large event. It's a national sales meeting, it's a wedding, it's whatever it is, and you've decided to have it outside. Well, you need to have a plan B if it's going to be inclement weather, for example, and you have to move everyone into a ballroom for.
Yeah, that means you consider a strategy if there's a threat, but this means that you still have your event.
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. This is mean having a strategy for threats, but your goal is still to have the successful event on this day.
Yes.
Okay. That's a difference. Plan B means, okay, it's not working. I go back to McDonald's, for example.
Right. No, I think that's an important differentiation, that it has to do with what the threats potentially could be, and you've got a plan in place for them.
Yeah. One last minute, one thing from my experience, what setting goals is, and for me, it's always good. End of the year, I do it twice a year. End of the year, and I do it in the middle of the year in summer, just to get feedback. I have to adapt something. What I reached, what I don't reach, where I focus much. So I do it twice a year. Find a good place where you feel comfortable, maybe at home, or I go out in nature, or I go to a coffee shop I love, have a seat at the view and make my notes. So find a place where you feel good. And what I do is I always set 10 goals for every year. 10 goals, and some of them are just business goals or job goals, career goals. Some of them are when you have a family goals. So you and your kids and your wife or whatever, family goals. And some are goals, just for me. And you will learn when you're younger, you have more career goals and job goals. Maybe you don't know married at the moment, so you have more career goals and maybe goals for yourself, like fitness goals or whatever. When you're in the 30s, you have family. Maybe you have still career goals, but less career goals. You have a good income or you have a good job. So family goals, and you have your goals. And the older you get, maybe you have less career, less family because kids left the house, and you have more goals for yourself. So I have 10 goals in totally. And depending on my age or what's important for me, I divide a few of them: business goals, family goals, and goals for myself. It is very important too. And to give you a last advice, I remember when I did my first goal setting when I was 21 years, when I listened to my friend and said something, okay, he was 10 years old. He's still 10 years older than me. I was 21. He was 31. He was a millionaire at this time, and a millionaire, but a happy one. I learned him when we went skiing. So my mom said, hey, let's go skiing. She had not much money, but we went skiing in March, Italy. And I could drive with this guy in his fancy car. And he was 10 years older than me. But I remember these mobile phones came out at the time, but it was only working within Austria, not Europe-wide or worldwide. So, and he was on the phone, and he had a company with many different venues. So he called his manager and he says, that is going for skiing. I want to see good sales, and we see it next week. And he was hanging up the phone, and I was 21. I said, wow, cool. I want to run my own business. And we became friends, and I listened to him. I learned from him. And when he told me setting the goals, I didn't do it the first year. I did it the second year. 10 goals. How many do you think I achieved at the end of the year?
10.
No.
One. No. Oh, too many goals?
One. Not just one, but it was 100% more than the year ago. And I still don't reach every 10, because if you reach every 10, it's not challenging. Now I reach 5 to 6, 7, but I still set goals because I know if I don't do it, I'm just floating around.
Yeah, I'm glad that you clarified that. I was thinking about 10 is kind of seems like a huge number to try to put everything in place to attain. But I can understand why you picked 10 to start with. So I'm just thinking for myself, I have a number of goals that I need to flesh out a little more because I need to have specific dates that I want them accomplished by. So I'm going to keep that in mind as well.
Okay, so don't be frustrated if you don't reach all 10. It's not reasonable. And if it's reasonable, you didn't challenge yourself.
We've got to get uncomfortable, right? Get out of our comfort zone.
Absolutely getting out of the
comfort for our
zone.
Personal and professional growth. Well, Roland, it's been such a pleasure. Once again, another fabulous lesson from you. Thank you. How can people reach you, and who would you like to reach out to you?
Well, everybody can reach out who wants any advice or communicate with me in my own person. But if you have a specific need, a specific challenge you're facing, you need coaching, consulting, or you're running a business, you want to train your leadership or organizations, the best way is to go on our website. It's www.sparrtner-performance.com. I spell it is SPARRTNER. Dash performance PERFORMANCE.com, SPARRTNER-performance.com, and you get in contact with me. Next week my other website is ready, but it takes some time. We are just renewing it. Yeah, just get in contact. Let's talk. Let's share. And I thank you so much for listening to me. It came deep from my heart, from my own experience. I wish everyone a happy new year and a good start. And sit down, use maybe this day or tomorrow, write down your goals. And if you're married in a relationship, ask your partner too, but please let him or her set his or her own goals. Please don't manipulate it. But it's interesting in a relationship when you're new in love, or even when you're long relationship, and see, okay, do we have the same goals? Let's discuss it. Can be very interesting and challenging. And I wish you a lot of fun for that and a lot of insights.
Thank you, Roland. And I just want to publicly thank you. I actually worked with Roland. He did some coaching for me, just impromptu. We were on a call and I needed some help with something. I showed him and he had a different perspective and he just drilled right down on it, had a whole different way of looking at it than I was. And together we came up with something wonderful. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. It was an honor and a pleasure.
So please do reach out to Roland. He is an expert. He's his business sense is from decades of experience, and he really knows how to get to the heart of the matter without taking, he's not going to drag things out for a long time. He wants to help you be successful as quickly as possible. So reach out to him, Roland, ROLAND, last name Friedl, FRIEDL, at SPARRTNER, 2 R's, dash or minus performance.com. That's all we have for you today, folks. Have a very happy new year. And thank you so much for your loyalty. We're coming back with our big launch of USA Global TV on January the 10th. Roland and all of our co-hosts will be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. And I'm coming back right after this with a world of difference. So take care of yourselves. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.